I'm joined here today with award-winning horror author Jennifer Ann Gordon about her newest novel called Pretty Ugly. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, so can we start off with what your new novel is about?
Yeah, it's kind of a loaded question because I think people are like, what is it not about? So it is pretty ugly. It is, in short, a story that follows two main characters. One of them is Amelia. She is an Instagram influencer. And the other is a man named Sam, who is dubbed the new JFK, and he is the heir to a political dynasty, but he never had political aspirations. So that is who the characters seem like on the outside. But on the inside, they both are struggling with things that happened in their childhood. They're still struggling with grief and trauma that they were never really able to let go of. So that's who they are. But when they are is during a pandemic that might be ending the world. And it's not COVID. So I know a lot of people are hearing about it and thinking, I don't want to read a book about COVID. It's not. The idea came out in my head before COVID. So I'm sorry, it's a pandemic book, but it's more than a pandemic book. It's really the story of how people cope with the end of days and learning to love themselves and maybe learning to love other people. So there's a little bit of horror, a little bit of literary, a little bit of a ghost story, maybe some romance.
When's the exact day that this novel will be released?
It actually comes out July 13th.
Has there been some reaction so far before your novel has been released with just reviews and everything?
I'm very pleased. I'll be honest, a little nervous putting this book out. I tend to write more gothic horror. So this is one of the first times I'm not really writing gothic horror, but the reviews have been really good. I just read one yesterday that somebody said, was this horror? Was this romance? I don't know what it was, but it was pure genius. And to me, like those are the moments as an author you just live for when, because even when I was writing it, I thought, I don't know what category this book is. I know there's elements of horror to it, but it's not a monster book. And it maybe not, it's maybe not completely horror, but it definitely has horror elements. So the reviews have been good. I've had really amazing authors agree to blurb the book, including New York Times #1 bestselling author Wendy Webb, who she called it an exquisitely written horror novel. And Sean Cosby, who wrote Blacktop Wasteland and Razorblade Tears, he also had really amazing things to say about it. So,
Is there inspiration that you'd want to share for how you came up with the idea for this novel?
I think we all live in this very social media influenced world right now, and we're very obsessed with how we look because we have to be, because most of the time there's a camera right in front of our face. So a little bit of it was taken from that. And part of it was also taken from the fact that when I was in high school, I had really terrible skin problems, and I would have given almost anything to be able to wear a mask or to be somebody else. So I thought about our society. And again, this was pre-COVID, so it was before we were wearing masks. But what it would mean to go through life wearing a mask, because you might have facial scarring, or you might have the disease that is prevalent in my book, which I won't name because that's like part of the reveal. So I just thought about what it would be like for people when all they have ever been and all they've ever focused on is their outside appearance and what other people think they are, and they've never paid any attention to who they really are inside, and what would happen when they are forced to do that because they can't just be a face anymore or an image.
And when this novel is released, where can people go to find it and be able to purchase it that are interested?
So of course, Amazon is the big one, but it is also available at everywhere that books are sold. So I like to tell people, if you are a fan of independent bookstores, please go to bookshop.org and look up Pretty Ugly by Jennifer Ann Gordon. That will place the order through your local independent bookstore. Or if you are in Europe, or I know you're in Canada, or if you're in the United States, you can always order through Book Depository, and that has free shipping worldwide.
Perfect. And is there anything else you'd like to add for fans to expect with this new novel?
I would say fans that know me from my gothic horror roots, don't think that all of that is gone. People have called it a modern Gothic, so there is still elements of that and elements of my lyrical poetic writing style. So enjoy it, go along for the ride. I'm very proud of it, and I can't wait to hear what people think.
Well, thank you again so much for joining us today, Jennifer.
Thank you, Shelby.